One of the biggest mistakes that I see landscape painters make is trying to paint every detail they see. Nature is often far too busy, and the real skill is learning what to leave out. So in this video I'll show you how I transform this ordinary Northland, New Zealand landscape into a stronger painting by simplifying the trees, editing the composition and focusing on what really mattered. So I'm outdoors painting in my local area in far north New Zealand, and it was a day where I had a few hours to spare. It was nice weather. It's also the middle of winter at the time of making this video, but I just wanted to get outdoors and paint. So I drove past this view and it's quite a simple scene. There's a lot of green fields, there's a stream in there and a lot of trees. So when I set up my easel, I thought to myself, how can I simplify this scene so it doesn't look too cluttered and has a bit more of a focal area and a bit more rhythm in the painting. So that's one of the things we need to do when we paint landscapes. It's very often much better to remove things from the scene and simplify it rather than trying to put everything in. And actually I've found that the more simple the landscapes that I've created, they tend to be much more engaging paintings. And one of the things about plein air painting is it will teach you to simplify your landscape, because very often we're painting on a smaller canvas and there's a lot going on in the scene, so we need to simplify things. So what I've done with the composition here is I've used that stream, especially the bend in the stream, to lead the eye into the scene, and then made one of those trees the main focal area, this large tree that's on the right side of the centre. Now there was quite a few of these New Zealand native trees here, but I took most of them out. The whole point was to simplify the scene. Now another thing about plein air painting is that it teaches you to paint quickly, and I literally smashed this painting out in about an hour. I'm trying to get faster at painting when I paint outdoors so that I can capture the atmosphere and the light of the moment. And for this reason I use the biggest brushes that I can get away with. Now I'm painting on an 8" by 10" linen canvas panel, which I got from Source Tech, and if you want to get some, I've put a link in the description box below. And I'm using oil paints, and the brand of oil paints I'm using is Blue Ridge oils, and again if you want to get some, I've put a link in the description box below. Now when I paint outdoors, I always start by painting the dark values first, and there's a reason for this. First of all, it makes everything easier when you come to paint the areas in light, because you can set up a whole tonal framework in the painting. Now when I talk about value, I mean the lights and darks in the scene, and we'll find our darkest darks and our lightest lights in the foreground, and then as landforms recede, the darks aren't as dark and the lights aren't as light. Now the other reason for doing this when you're painting outdoors is because the light is changing, and very often it can cloud over, especially in New Zealand. So if you've established where your shadows are first, again it makes it much easier to paint the areas in light. Now there's three main tiers of depth in this painting. We've got the foreground, the midground and the background. So in the foreground we've got our darkest shadows here. That's some of the shadows on the edge of the stream, also the shadows in some of these trees. Now trees are some of the darkest values in the landscape, and that's especially true of New Zealand native trees. So the colours that I've been using for these tree shadows are mainly ultramarine blue with a bit of yellow ochre, so that desaturates the blue but gives it a nice little green cast to it as well, while still keeping the colour pretty dark. Now for these background colours, I've used combinations of ultramarine blue with burnt sienna, some titanium white and some alizarin crimson, and the value of these background hills is a lot lighter than the trees in the foreground. So in order to make those trees stand out against the background, it's really important that the background is lighter in value. The other thing is as well, is often hills or mountains, they can very often have a blue cast to them as well. So that also looks really quite nice in a painting. We can also use these colours for the cloud shadows as well, but we're just making the value of the paint lighter, so that's really important. The sky and clouds are generally some of the lightest values in the landscape, followed by the ground planes of the grass. And this was illustrated in John Carlson's book, Carlson's Guide to Landscape Painting, and I think it's some really easy rules to remember. He also said that the slanting planes of the mountains are darker in value, that also includes the hills as well, and that the upright planes of the trees are the darkest values in the landscape. So we need to remember trees in general are darker than the grass, and then that way the trees are going to stand out. Now let's talk about how I created some of these nice rich grass greens that are in the foreground. So I started off with some yellow ochre, some ultramarine blue and some cadmium yellow as the base of my green. So I'm mixing my own greens here. Now in order to increase the saturation, I've used a little bit of phthalo green, and then I've mixed in some cadmium red light as well. So cadmium red, or red in general, is opposite to green on the colour wheel, and that helps to desaturate the green, i.e. take the intensity out of it, but also makes the colour look more organic and natural as well. Then we can also use titanium white to lighten the value. The titanium white is also going to desaturate the green, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Now one of the other things I did with these colours was to create broken colour. This is where I don't mix the colours together thoroughly, so we're seeing some of the individual hues of the paint coming through, and in fact I even, on the edge of my brush, dipped it into a little bit of cadmium red light, and also on the other side of the brush dipped it into a little bit of phthalo green, so I was getting the odd streak of phthalo green coming through and the odd streak of cadmium red, and it just adds more interest to your painting. Also the cadmium red is going to help to make that green look more harmonious, but we've got to be careful not to use too much of it. We only need a small amount. Now the next thing to do was to paint the sky and clouds. So for the highlights in the clouds, or the areas that are in light, I've mainly used titanium white with a little bit of burnt sienna and some yellow ochre, and then for the blue of the sky I've mixed ultramarine blue with titanium white and a little bit of cobalt teal. Now we can use the sky mix here to fill in the negative spaces around the clouds and give them shape, but also the edges of those hills. So one of the things I was doing was softening the edges of those hills so we're not getting harsh lines which could take the eye off the painting. Lines and vectors have strong eye carrying power, so we want to be careful of that because we want to keep the viewer's eye on the painting. The next thing to do after painting the sky was to paint the water, and that was mainly reflecting the sky, so I was able to use the sky mix to paint the water here, perhaps with a little bit more ultramarine blue in the mix. So the key was to just get the canvas covered as quickly as possible, and then I can start modelling and shaping some of the elements in the scene and sculpting some of those elements, especially with the shadow mix. So stating some of these shadows that are being cast from the trees, and then also restating some dark values later on. Now I absolutely love painting outdoors, and I've found it to be enormously beneficial to my studio painting. It teaches you to paint quickly, and it really helps you to see the landscape and see the colours and values overall. And as I say, I've been able to apply that to my studio work. Now if you'd really like to take a deep dive in landscape painting and really focus on improving your work so that you can paint beautiful landscapes, or even learn how to paint outdoors, then come and join me at Sam's Landscape Painting School. You can join for as little as $7 a month, where you get access to my complete landscape painting essentials course, which I'm adding more to all the time, so there's new videos coming every week. You also get access to our artist community there as well. Or if you'd like the full experience, which includes the live painting classes and the library of tutorials, including the plein air paintings, then the full membership is available. If you'd like to learn more about how to join, just click the link below for more details. Now then, back to the painting, and I was starting to think about getting it finished. So I'd added more areas of paint to the elements that are in light, for example these trees. So for example the trees here, I've used mainly combinations of yellow ochre, ultramarine blue, a little bit of cadmium yellow, tiny bit of phthalo green and some titanium white, and there's also a little bit of cadmium red in there. So in some ways similar colours to the grass, but of course the grass is a lot lighter in value. For some of those cooler greens in the grass, I've mixed in either phthalo green or cobalt teal. Now one of the things about greens is they tend to drop out and become more desaturated as you go into the distance. So this is really important to remember. So it's important that we desaturate our greens when we're painting distant greens. Now at this point I'd kind of gotten all the areas in light covered, and I was just sculpting the various elements in the scene by restating some of these shadows and general dark values. I was even able to paint the suggestion of some tree trunks in the main trees there in the composition, and some of those other trees in the background, and then just painting little shadows here in the grass that's overall just going to add interest to the painting. So I finished up the painting by just tidying up some areas with the shadow mix. Now, as I said, I managed to paint this in about an hour, and I wasn't focused on detail at all. In fact, my plein air paintings are a lot more impressionistic, but it's all about just capturing the atmosphere of the scene that you're painting and capturing those colours and values as well. And it also teaches you about composition and simplifying the landscape. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that it inspires you to get outdoors and paint. For me, I've been plein air painting for over 10 years now, and it's been enormously helpful for my studio work as well. Plus it's just really nice to get outside in the sun and the fresh air and paint. If you'd like to learn more about landscape painting and you need help with improving your landscape paintings, then come and join us at Sam's Landscape Painting School. You can join for as little as $7 a month, and I've put a link in the description box below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.